And the theme of our stewardship season this year is "Tell Out My Soul." You remember this is what Mary says when she realizes the gift that God is giving her. And so all through November, we're going to be sharing some of our stories, like "Tell Out My Soul," the greatness of God, what God is doing here in this church. And so I'm really thankful that Bryn and Alli are going to share a little bit of what St. James means for them. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Bryn, or you might know me as one of the students at the CIA. Alli and I started coming to St. James around this time last year, and it's crazy how positively it has impacted us. So when Ron asked us to come up here and share our story, we were more than happy to. My religious background is a bit tricky. I had a pretty difficult childhood, and I grew up Catholic, which was not the best mix. I struggled with religion and was in and out of my belief in God. I felt like God was real, but I didn't think I was good enough for a relationship with him. Sometimes I prayed, but only when I needed something. Always starting with, "Hey God, I know it's been a while," not realizing that a lot of the problems that I was having were due to a lack of my relationship with Jesus in the first place. So last fall, when I moved out here, I wasn't exactly hunting down churches. Moving here from Minnesota was hectic, and classes were crazy. I started feeling very homesick for a home I never really had. It was confusing, and I didn't know how to fix it. I definitely didn't want to go back home, but I truly felt like something was missing. I began to get an overwhelming feeling that Jesus was the answer. It felt random because at this point I was pretty distant from my faith, but I was so sure that that was my problem. I started consistently praying and meditating, but I wanted to grow more. God was answering me, and I needed to show my gratitude. Attending church just felt right. I hadn't been to church in a while and wasn't sure on where to go. I texted my friend's mom, who's like a mom to me, and asked her what kind of church she goes to. She said, "Methodist, but if we had one around here, I'd go to Episcopal." Then later that day, she sent a link to St. James. She said, "This one's close to your campus, they have graveyard tours, the priest is a woman, and they have a pride flag outside. I think you should check it out." I brought it up to Alli, and she said she would like to, but she didn't seem sure. We had just met, so I didn't want to push it. I gave her some time. I noticed her praying as well, and I asked again. She said, "I really do want to go, but I'm nervous." I said, "Nervous? That's it? We'll go this weekend. You can just follow my lead." As we walked in, I gave her some pointers, but truth be told, I was nervous too. Right when we sat down, a man named Russell came over to welcome us. I was pretty shocked. I had never experienced warmth and kindness in a church like I did that day. And after the sermon, I knew we were in the right place. As time went on, we were introduced to more and more loving people, but Alli will talk a little more about that. We both began to read the Bible, and the only times we had ever missed church was when we were home on break. We began to get more involved, finding community within. I also realized that God gave me a best friend to grow with, Alli. Alli and I went on our externships over the summer, but I still updated Mother Meredith periodically. There was one night after work where I was sitting on the beach talking with God. I was reminded about how St. James had brought me back to God, and I was just filled with gratitude. I texted Mother Meredith to thank her for how welcome I had felt and how excited I was to be so strongly connected to my faith. But most importantly, I finally felt accepted in church. In her response, she added the verse from 1 Corinthians, "By the grace of God, I am what I am, and God's grace to me has not been in vain." Later that week, I got "By the grace of God, I am what I am" tattooed, because that's how much it meant to me. I thank God, and I thank St. James for my ever-growing faith. I'm so proud to be a part of a church with such loving people and a priest who truly puts the mother in Mother Meredith. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alli Christie. Growing up, my family wasn't very religious. They said they believed in God, so I agreed, but truth is, the only times I was sat in a pew were for weddings and funerals. Although I said I believed in God, he was often an afterthought. It wasn't until 2 years ago, as of this October, that I actually thought to look at a Bible or try to get into faith. My reason for this was my little cousin, Levi, passing after being hit by a drunk driver. Although he was only 10, he was very deep in faith, and every move he made was made through Christ. He was the sweetest boy I knew, and when he passed, we started saying the phrase, "Live like Levi," and I took that as a sign to start living by God. My only problem was I had no idea anything about God, the Bible, prayer, or really anything to do with Christianity. I felt a bit stuck and didn't know where to begin. Fast forward almost exactly a year later, and I was about a month into my time at the CIA. I was really struggling, moving away from the life I lived for 18 years, meeting all new people, and just starting a new era of life at the country's best culinary school was a very difficult situation for me. I couldn't get any sleep, and I was having sleep paralysis every night. My mornings were spent throwing up in our dorm's communal bathroom out of fear. So immediately when Bryn asked if I would be willing to go to church with her, I said yes. Now I can't lie and act like I wasn't nervous. Another series of meeting new people, trying new things. But as you can see, after our first time going, we kept coming back. I think a lot of that was how welcomed we felt. Russell automatically greeted us with literal open arms, and everyone we were introduced to that day and the days following showed us nothing but love. Joe Gasparini shared his love for baking with us. Ron shared how happy he was to have us here. Deirdre May greeted us in her always diva outfits. And of course, Mother Meredith welcomed us with nothing but love. We set up a coffee date where I told her about my not so religious background, and she assured me that even with little religious knowledge, I would always be welcomed at St. James. I also found out we are from the same area, which was a nice connector considering I had never talked to a priest before. Also, go Bills. But after that, everything just clicked. We kept coming to church, I started reading the Bible, and I started praying. I really felt like I belonged. This was something I strongly realized when helping with the Lenten breakfast. Doing something I love, cooking, with people I love, Bryn, Joe, Eric, Ron, both Mikes, and more, for the people I love, all of you sitting in these pews, while walking in love. Coming to St. James has not only brought me closer to and basically built my faith, brought me closer to Bryn, who I am so blessed to have her by my side, but has also brought me into an amazing community of people I love. Coming to St. James has been one of my biggest blessings, and now after a year of coming to this church, I was just baptized, confirmed, and now standing in front of you giving this testimony. I can assure you that the love I have felt here at St. James has been so strong, and I am thankful for every person that has stepped into this church that has helped build a community so kind and wonderful. I encourage you all to live like Levi and continue to walk in love. Thank you.